what is the biggest mistake you see young screenwriters make?
Um, I don't know if this is a quantitative, like if this is a literal mistake I can say. I think the problem that I find with a lot of young screenwriters is they think they're great writers with their first script.
Right away. Yeah.
And in any, just if you think logically, no matter what, no matter what you're, if you're an artist, whether you're a painter, a writer, a singer, you get better with practice and the more you do it. And if you're a craftsman, if you make stuff out of wood, you get better. Like the first thing that you carve out of wood isn't going to be the best thing that's ever been carved out of wood before. So I think the biggest mistake that I see with a lot of young writers is they kind of come out with this attitude like, I understand that you have to believe in yourself because trust me, this business is like you get rejected, 1,000 times and then you get one person saying yes. So you have to keep your ego, you know, you have to keep your spirits up and your ego right sized. But I just see a lot of young writers where they're like, this is the best script, I've ever written, and you got to read it. And then if you read it and you start giving them notes, they start arguing with you. And, not that I think that my notes are the end all be all, but it's like there's an unwillingness to recognize that they're young. Like, trust me, my first couple of scripts, I went back and read them. I'm like, wow, these are, years later, I'm like, these are crap. These were awful. I can't believe I thought these were great. Um, but I think the biggest mistake young writers make is they don't understand that, you've got to keep doing it to get better. And, every script that I write hopefully is better than the last script that I wrote because I've learned something in between. So I think being open to that process and realizing it takes time. Like there's a lot of people that think there's some easy shortcut. Like, and I'm sure you've heard this too. Every time, I speak at any place, whether it's a high school or a college or a horror convention or a screenwriting convention, the two questions that people ask me are, how do I get my script to a studio head, and how do I get financing?
How do I get an agent? Yeah.
And how do, and it's like, there aren't any people think that there are, like, it literally, like, I heard there was a 10-year rule. Somebody, and I can't remember who it was, I wish I could. Somebody very smart and famous at the time had said, if you're an artist, you have to be willing to dedicate 10 years of your life to struggling before you finally succeed. And they said, and when we say succeed, we don't mean that you're going to all of a sudden be rich and, have all the money in the world. We mean to get something done. And, I thought that rule was bull when I went to, New York. As I was 19, I got an agent. I was interning at New Line. I was like, screw that 10-year rule. It was 10 years to the year I graduated high school that I sold Final Destination. So it took all that time of me writing scripts, getting them rejected, almost getting jobs, not getting them. It took 10 years to actually get my first project like produced and made from when I graduated. So people I think that's a rule that people need to keep in the back of their head because there's so much clutter in the business where you have people who are like, all right, I'm going to try this acting thing for 2 years because my dad has a lot of money and I'm pretty or handsome. And if I don't make it, I'm going to quit. So you have like people who are dedicating their lives to this. Plus you have all this clutter of hundreds of people coming to Hollywood every day, with rich families, and they were the best looking person at their school, so they've got to be the most beautiful, and so you have to it's almost like Survivor. You have to outlast.
What is it? What is it? Outthink, outlast, out.
Yeah, it's like you've got to be in it for the long haul. Like this isn't a business like that can be kind of a side hobby.
No.
It's something you really have to like jump into the pool, and you have to like swim in that pool for up to maybe 10 years. So there aren't any shortcuts, because it's even the stuff like when I wrote that letter to Bob Shea, I didn't have any grand plan about, oh, this is going to lead to this and this and this in the future. I was just like, I have a story I want to tell, and I want this. He does the Freddy movies, and I want him to read it. Like that was my only goal, because I had a story to tell that I wanted somebody to read. So I could never have planned that, oh, he's going to kind of take me under his wing and then I'm going to get it. Yeah, I never planned any of that stuff. So I found that what people call like luck has often been years of me working really hard over here and it not paying off like I thought it would, but then somebody else on this side of this side of town reads a script and they're like, oh, let's call Jeffrey. So there's been a lot of that. So all the work that you put out there will benefit you somehow, but you just don't always know how it's going to be. So you can't expect like a shortcut, like somebody at a convention is going to, have their agent sign you, and then all of a sudden you're going to sell your script, and then that's it. It's just.
It's no, there is no shortcut. I completely agree with you. And we both got shrapnel, lots of it in our business, lots of shrapnel,
lots of wounds, yeah.
Lots of wounds. And when you say put work out there, when I with this podcast, I've been, that's why a lot of podcasts fail, is because they just like, I'm going to do 20 hours. I'm just going to do like after 20, they're like, well, no one's listening. I'm not making any money. I got to go. And I've outlasted almost all of my contemporaries. And by putting out these episodes, it's amazing who listens to this stuff.
Yes.
And all of a sudden I get a phone call or I get an email going, hey, I listened to this one obscure episode, and this guy who directed some of the biggest movies ever wants to be on your show because it'd be a good fit for what he's doing right now. I'm like, what? Right. Like, how is that? But that's the thing. It's putting work out there without any attachment to the outcome, I think the biggest piece of advice.
Absolutely.